Hello and welcome to News Tonight. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Elizabeth Nakakoni on sign language will dig into it. Cabinet has directed the line ministries of Health and Internal Affairs to review the COVID-19 standard operating procedures for the consideration of the end to curfew. Government Chief Whip Ruth Nankabira told the charged Parliament on the abuse of curfew of security by security personnel who have turned it into an extortion venture from civilians that in the last cabinet meeting with President, he took note of the concern and a directive was met for the review of SOPs before he issues a presidential directive to end curfew.
On several occasions, there has been growing concerns of men and women in security uniforms charged with the responsibility of managing curfew on how they have deliberately abused the entire concept.
The security personnel extorting money from the people under the pretense of curfew violation.
The matter Tuesday took center stage on the floor of Parliament with MPs in arms overnight extortion of money from civilians by security operatives.
Roadblocks are being mounted everywhere. After 9 p.m., anyone stop at the roadblock, that person must part with money. Right, Honourable Speaker, the curfew time is doing more harm to Ugandans than good. My prayer, Right, Honourable Speaker, that government should stop the police officers from extorting money from the community.
The issue is they don't take the people arrested to the station. You call your relative, they come with the money, you are released. Their bonds are always at night.
MPs say the situation is not only in Kampala but also upcountry.
The case in point in my district, Amoro, the RDC directed that by 8:30, the business people at the trading centers must close their businesses. And as we talk now, big trading centers in Amoro, like Olwal, like Keo, they close their businesses by 8:30. After 8:30, from 9 onwards, there is some security teams that were recruited recently, the police constables. You will find them moving from shop to shop, from village to village, and wherever they get people, they only ask for money strictly.
Legislators say that the world is opening up with doing away with curfews that grossly impact on the economy and the survival of people. Maintaining curfew in Uganda is detrimental to economic growth and recovery of businesses that were affected with the COVID-19 lockdown.
We don't need a meeting of what and what. Just withdraw the curfew and allow the Ugandans to trade. It is time for us to recover. We are bad luck. The country needs to be open. We are doing badly. We are doing badly. I'm speaking on behalf of the people of Uganda who are doing badly. And personally, we are doing badly. I'm also doing badly. Open the country.
Government Chief Whip Ruth Nankabira told the House that a similar concern had been brought to the attention of Cabinet and the President ruled for the review of the COVID-19 standard operating procedures before he pronounced himself on the end of curfew.
In a special Cabinet meeting, I presented a petition from the private sector regarding the curfew and the manner in which the curfew is being managed. This was after a presentation from the Minister of Health on the progress of COVID-19. And Madam Speaker, Cabinet decided that the National Task Force on COVID-19 sits and reviews all those standard operational procedures to make sure that some of them are really withdrawn because we are progressing very well on the management of COVID-19. The matter is very important. The private sector is crying, and everybody really, including us members of Parliament. By the time you leave Parliament, You are worried about the curfew, yet we have a lot of work to do.
With the revelation putting police and other sister agencies under spotlight, the line ministers of Health and Internal Affairs are expected to report back to the President next week before he makes a decision on the end of curfews or their sustainability.
Now, members of parliament have this afternoon reacted bitterly over the ban of Ugandan maize by Kenya. The MPs described the ban as unfair by a neighboring country where they have many trade agreements under the East African Community. As Philip Aguta reports from Parliament, the August House now demands for an urgent answer from government.
As Ugandan milk and poultry traders were recovering from losses they registered when Kenya banned their products last year, another dispute has emerged. On Friday last week, Kenya banned Ugandan maize from entering the country, a move that has angered Ugandan legislators.
There is a lot of unfairness in our trade relationship with the government and the people of Kenya. It is high time we send a clear signal that what is going on is mutual benefit. It is not, for heaven's sake, a favor for our people to trade with Kenya.
Kenyan maize that is being consumed in the market in Kenya now has more aflatoxins than ours. I am told it is at 33. We are between 7 and 9. So I think there is just some problem that we don't know that we need to open our eyes and verify.
In a heated afternoon sitting, the legislators have questioned the motive of East African integration since partner states have failed to respect the treaties.
So, right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I don't think this marriage of East African integration is a good marriage. It is the worst marriage we are seeing because previously, you remember some few months back when they banned our milk from accessing Kenyan market.
The citizens of Kenya, or Kenya as a country, has over 2,000 or 10,000 companies operating in Uganda. Now, when you go to Kenya, you will hardly find 100 companies of Ugandans operating from there. So for us, I think we have taken ourselves very lightly, whereas others are benefiting from us.
The MPs have come up with stringent proposals that they want to put against Kenya in case the trade dispute prolongs.
I want to thank the people of Tanzania who closed the border yesterday, and by 2, Kenya had accepted Tanzania maize to enter Kenya. I therefore want to pray, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my prayer, Uganda government should, with immediate effect, ban the imports of Kenya agriculture products like Irish potato from Kericho, carrots, ahero, rice, and mangoes because they use more toxic fertilizers than Uganda.
The fertilizers we use come from Kenya. The acaricides we use are from Kenya. Now that they've blocked our maize, I'm wondering how we shall still continue having their seed used in our soils or in our land.
The Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, pledged to conclude the matter in Wednesday's sitting after the government chief whip failed to offer a satisfactory answer on the matter.
And you yourself, Right Honourable, you suggested that it has to be the leader of government business to answer, and he's not around. And General Moses Ali is up country.
General Moses Ali, Deputy Prime Minister, or the Minister of Agriculture or Minister of Trade, someone must come here and tell us what we are going to do, because I think the government has let us down by allowing our neighbors, tree administrators. Let us give them until tomorrow. Whether they're here or not tomorrow, we shall take our resolution on what to do about this issue. With or without the government, we shall take our resolution.
Kenya remains one of the biggest markets for Ugandan maize products. This means the dispute does not only affect the individual farmer, but the entire economy of Uganda. which MPs believe is frustrating the efforts of East African integration. Philip Aguta, UBC News, Parliament.
Member of Parliament Signologist has declared his interest for speakership of the 11th Parliament. The FDC spokesperson is the first opposition legislator to publicly declare interest, which according to him is derived from his past service to Parliament. Nganda says he has written to the opposition political parties seeking for their support in the forthcoming tight race of speakership. Speaker of the 10th Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, has recently echoed her bid for another term.
The 11th Parliament, which starts in May 2021, will have to decide on whether to retain current Speaker Rebecca Altwala Kadaga or vote for another Member of Parliament to take on the top office at the August House. 529 elected members of the 11th Parliament, including over 100 opposition legislators, will have to go through a secret ballot to vote for the next Speaker of Parliament.
As the opposition, we are numerically unstrengthened. We have a numerical disadvantage in this House.
What is important, let them come, let them declare their ability to serve, and the voters will decide.
Kila municipality, Member of Parliament Semujanda has let the cat out of the bag by declaring his desire to replace the Kamuli woman MP, Rebecca Altwala Kadaga, whose term expires in this May.
Under Article 82 of the Constitution, every Member of Parliament is qualified to be a Speaker.
Ibrahim Semuju, who has been in Parliament for 10 years, boasts of his experience and perseverance garnered over that period.
The Honorable Ben Wacha nearly here became a Speaker. He was opposition. When you're a good person, you are good. You're not only good for your party.
The Kira Municipality MP has distanced himself from FDC party trends of defiance and internal fights, among others, saying he wants to serve the nation but not the party.
I don't see how the internal workings of my party or the internal working, because you see, the moment you are a speaker, you're supposed to be impartial. You're a speaker for everybody. The moment you come here to become a speaker for your party, you will be failing on day one, because in this parliament, a multi-party parliament, you have multiplicity of platforms that sponsored, including those who came as independent.
But we just encourage him, since he's part of us, he should stand. But he should know, he shouldn't be surprised by the outcomes. Because if you have the numerical disadvantage and you contest with those who have numerical advantage, a bigger margin, then you should be ready for all outcomes.
I cannot tie that on FDC political ideology. What I can see, or I can say, whoever comes out, you see him as a eligible person to stand and as a eligible voter. So that's all.
Semujunganda, who says will fund his own campaigns, has also written to various opposition political parties in the 11th Parliament seeking their support for the speakership.
I am going to write a letter to each and every MP, which will be delivered by close of day today, to explain why they should support my candidature to be, and to explain, especially to the new ones, about my competence.
Recently, NRM's Rebecca Altwala Kadaga, who is the current Speaker of Parliament, showed interest in bouncing back as the Speaker of the 11th Parliament. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
United Nations High Commission for Refugees has expressed hope in peacekeeping efforts currently ongoing in South Sudan. The head of UNHCR, Filippo Grandi, says whereas unrest has reduced in Africa's youngest nation, more is still needed to ensure total peace. He was speaking during his 4th tour of Uganda to assess the situation of refugees in the country.
By 7 a.m. on Tuesday, the ground at Kororo airstrip was already set for the global head of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees to fly to Yumbe. And there he was, ready for the scheduled moment. he was meant to visit Bidibidi refugee settlement, where he was warmly welcomed. But behind this happiness were noted challenges with regard to increased population, including that of refugees.
We are trying to engage with the charcoal burners to understand what other sources of livelihoods we can provide them with so that we preserve the environment.
The rampant bush burning and tree cutting was noticed, with worry from State Minister for Local Government, Jennifer Namuyango. The same challenge was also acknowledged by UN High Commissioner for Refugees.
We need the ordinances to put this to a stop, because it is not necessary where people think by burning the bush, then you'll have new grass coming up. Even the old grass is still full of nutrients.
Environment, I think, with education and livelihoods, in my opinion, is one, and health in this difficult situation are the key priorities.
To overcome all this, a permanent solution has to be found through establishment of permanent peace in countries where these refugees originate from.
I was in South Sudan just a few weeks ago, and I have seen some signals, some positive signal of more stability. We're not yet there. You know, we haven't heard today people running to us and say we want to return, not yet. But I think in their mind there is return as the ultimate hope. So I think that we need to continue also to work in South Sudan to create conditions for people to return, just as is the same for other countries from which the 1.4 million refugees in Uganda come from.
In the meantime, managing the influx and challenge of refugees remains a concern which Grandi commits to supporting.
Apparently, we are hosting 1.4 million refugees in 13 districts. And the issue of hosting refugees is a shared responsibility, especially among the international community. As a country, we provide land, we provide space, but also we allow the limited facilities to be shared with our people.
Uganda is a stable country, is a country where people are hosted, but Uganda needs help. Help cannot only go to the crisis situation, has to go also to the positive situation to make them sustainable.
Often described by South Sudan refugees as the land of the living and the home of the free, Bidibidi refugee settlement houses over 230,000 asylum seekers. The visit by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees has beamed more rays of hope on the welfare of these people. Henry Okrut, UBC.
And after close to a year of interruptions in all spheres of the economy ushered in by the COVID-19 pandemic, Uganda is scheduled to take her first bold step in containing the spread of the virus this Wednesday, 10th of March, by launching vaccinations. Now, Health Minister Dr. Rhoda says they have trained all the ministry staff who are to take part in this process, and she's upbeat it will be a success across the country.
The Ministry of Health confirms that they are ready to kickstart the countrywide COVID-19 vaccinations, starting with the priority groups.
So in terms of the system capacity to deliver vaccines, our structures are vibrant and they are viable. The structures for mobilization through the local councils, through the local government structures, and the vibrance of the media.
Health Minister Dr. Rhoda says other groups will be added onto the priority list as more vaccines arrive.
Because the vaccines are coming in small quantities. If we are getting a huge quantity at once, that would have been possible. Now, all the other countries are scrambling for vaccines, so you cannot get a big quantity at once. And because we cannot, as the vaccines come in, we shall be giving dates to the priority populations to report and get their vaccination done.
Ministry of Health officials were today training journalists in Kampala on responsible reporting with regards to the vaccination process.
We sent here scientists to engage with you to make you understand. New information comes every day, and information keeps on changing because we are all learning.
Around, let us listen to our own medical people. They've led us well so far, and the country has been much safer. So I appeal to you, if there's anything you don't know, ask them. They are all here, they know everything. And so hopefully we can tell the country what really is the truth and encourage as many people as possible.
Uganda received 864,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine shipped via the COVAX facility. The country targets to inoculate 49.6% of the population in a phased manner, and each phase is planned to cover 20% of the population. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
State Minister for Foreign Affairs Henry Okello-Oryem has encouraged women to work hard and avoid being taken advantage of at their designated workplaces. He was officiating at celebrations to mark International Women's Day held at the ministry, where he also revealed the new routes of Uganda Airlines.
Uganda Monday joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day under the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Eco Future in COVID-19. At Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the day has been marked by celebrating women that have put efforts together for the success of the ministry. State Minister for Foreign Affairs Henry Okello-Oryem says women should be able to study so that they can compete with other women worldwide and also avoid getting favors as they are being taken advantage of.
Sometimes when women achieve goals, when they're promoted to big offices, people misunderstand that they did not get it on merit and they got it through, through favorism or nepotism or something or the other. But I want them to be able to study and not only get a master's degree, but be able to get other certificates and other diplomas in other areas related to what they do in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so that whenever they're promoted or whenever they take big positions, it is very clear that this particular person got it on merit rather than being favored.
Minister Oryem applauded the women in the ministry for the great job they are doing. In another development, the minister highlighted on the new secured routes for Uganda Airlines, which include India, South Africa and the UK, among others.
We have a few details to sort out between the CA of Uganda and the CA, the equivalent of that in India. I think that will take a long time to be negotiated and addressed. But what is important is that we have the flight rights now in place.
UBC TV managed to talk to one of the women that have played a big role in the ministry, Anne Babinaga, who emphasized the role of women in foreign affairs.
So we're very pleased that gender balance that we have and has been taken into consideration in the recruitment processes, both here at the ministry and the public service. We're very pleased that women are flying high in their careers.
She also confirmed the new routes of Uganda Airlines that are expected to be opened before end of this year.
Those plans are ongoing between Uganda Airlines, Civil Aviation Authority and the Ministry of Transport, and we expect those routes to be opened, and our missions are preparing and working very closely with the operator to make sure that those routes are opened before the end of the year.
Jane Ramsha, UBC News.
The Minister for ICT, Judith Nabakova, has noted that it's through digitalization of the agricultural sector that its output will attract market and boost prices other than relying on the traditional mode of door-to-door market search. Nabakova was paying a courtesy visit to the Macadamia project in Mityana district, where she was impressed by the demonstration.
Since 1960s till late 90s, Uganda was referred to as the East African food basket due to her thriving agriculture sector. But of recent, the sector, which is still the country's economic backbone, has witnessed challenges ranging from natural calamities to land shortage and thus falling back.
What about if our
To address the sector's challenges, local and international crops like macadamia have been brought on board to subsidize the traditional maize, coffee, cotton and cassava, among others.
We started 18 years ago with a dream to make macadamia as the high-value crop and the income earner, and it will be a game changer for Uganda.
Located northeast of Mityana district and managed by Indian nationals through Ama Farms Limited, nuts growing is taking shape as over 1,000 acres of land is now under full utilization.
We have another 10 acres on the pathways, so that one will be over 45.
Besides pouring a lot of revenue in Uganda's coffins annually, the farm, whose operations began 18 years ago, also aims at offering employment.
For us, our targets are mostly youth and women.
While touring this multi-billion project in Inambale, Mityana district, the Minister for Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, Judith Nabakoba, was much impressed.
I wanted to inspire the youths of Mityana. We have some NRM youths and other youths to pick interest in farming and agriculture. We have seen these people came and invested here, but they are reaping, but at the same time encouraging Ugandans to pick interest in macadamia plant. I believe this is a game changer according to what they have shown us. We have inspected their gardens.
Accompanied with a group of youth leaders from the district, Nabakoba, who was taken around the macadamia gardens, reiterated the need for youth to embrace technology in the agriculture sector.
But we also encourage the youths to pick interest if they can get land from their parents. I believe this can be a lifetime investment. You do it slowly, but you know that you have invested something that will take care of you for a number of years, take care of you, your children and grandchildren, because the lifespan of macadamia is about 100 years. And me as an information minister, we want to see them developing a macadamia information management system which meets the demand of Ugandans.
So I can encourage my fellow youths to take advantage of this macadamia so that we earn for almost 90 years. You may find that even our grandchildren can earn from this macadamia.
Although in the past new cash crops like vanilla were embraced by many farmers across the country, but the fluctuating prices and scarce markets almost left many counting losses. Nabakoba is convinced that this time round the story is different.
You realize that since their plant is already tested, the market he has talked about so far, 6 countries have placed orders for macadamia, meaning that the more people keep picking interest in macadamia, which is grown here in Uganda, even the market network will automatically grow.
The challenges we are facing here, international market needs the quantities, of course with the quality. To curb that one, we are making a farmer school here, macadamia farmer school.
100 macadamia trees, whose lifespan stands at over 8 years, if properly managed, is estimated to give 30 million Uganda shillings per annum as an output. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Mityana.
Meanwhile, the National Unity Platform leaders in Mbale have vowed to resist the alleged activities of causing chaos and disrupting businesses in the region. Led by their media coordinator, Abubakar bin Siraje, the members informed the Member of Parliament for Manjia County, Honorable John Baptist Nambeshe, that he should first organize these activities in Bududa. They made the revelation while meeting members of Muzei and Area Task Force in Mbale.
The just concluded political situation took Ugandans by storm, with critics using the advantage to spread political propaganda, leaving many undecided on who to elect at different political positions of leadership. The eastern region was no exception, as many people, especially the youth, were used to fight against the leadership of President Museveni. Following the unfolding situations, National Unity Platform leaders in Mbale region have decided to join the NRM government and leave the political propaganda being used by political self-seekers.
Nambeshe stop coming and influencing the youth in Mbale city to cause violence and people lose their properties. I repeat, I warn you, Honorable Nambeshe, you remain in Bududa because you don't belong in Mbale. I think you are a member of parliament of Mangia constituency, not a member of parliament in Mbale city.
Members assured politicians who have been using them to join the NRM party because it has the sovereignty of taking the country forward.
So take this opportunity to assure Honorable Baptiste Nambeshe that it is high time you stop all your plans of misleading the youths of Mbale, assuring them how they should come and mobilize the city of Mbale. I undertake to resist all the activities of burning the city. You better organize, go and burn where you come from.
Mafabi Rajab, former NOP coordinator for Mukonja, Muwereza and Namosi Ward, says they are tired of the empty promises made by National Unity Platform, especially to the youth.
Don't disturb people of Uganda, especially Mbale city, that you are sending here Nambeshe to disturb people of Mbale, especially youth, to cause violence. Please, Chagulanyi, Nambeshe, I'm warning you. As I was a leader, a coordinator, I'm no longer with you guys of NUP.
Wetaka Hassan, former NUP coordinator Nkoma Ward, advised youth to boycott activities that restrain their political energy, but rather support government.
I've come back home again because we have seen these things of NUP. Nothing, they cannot develop Uganda.
The members submitted their membership cards to Muzei Yenderea Task Force in Mbale. Sudat Kai, UBC. And the Democratic Party Women's League, through its leadership, have held a press conference during which they have urged government to do more to curb maternal mortality rates in the country. Shaidat Nasaku has more on this.
The pandemic exposed the loopholes in our health system. We accordingly challenge the state to pay special attention to the health sector. To all democracy-seeking forces in Uganda to work towards the country we want to live in. It is possible to have unity in diversity. And even if it is a demonstration, we need to sit down and agree. So we have the party structures we need to follow. We cannot just demonstrate because so and has gone on social media that there need to be a demonstration. Any political party has leadership. Well, as opposition also, we are not happy and we are not contented with what's taking place in the country. We can only act when the time comes, but we don't act on rumors.
Now, the former presidential candidate Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu has announced countrywide peaceful protests over the 14th January election results. Chagulanyi has settled before the public declaration of results, DR forms indicating that he allegedly won the elections. However, Uganda Police Force has warned the public against the protests, warning of severe repercussions.
Poliisi olunaku lw'eggulo yafulumizza ekiwandiiko ng'era basajja baayo ku nguudo ez'enjawulo okutangira okwegugunga kuno.
Tubulidde nti ye Honorable Chagulanyi ajja kuvaayo agambe anti ffe tujagenda mu maaso n'okwekalakaasa mu mirembe. Naye eri abawagizi be bajja kukola ekirala. Kye bajja kukola bajja agenda okwekalakasa nga si kwa mirembe. Okwekalakasa
We apologize for that. Let's take a quick break. When we return, more details. This is News Tonight.
Nga polisi akamala okulabula
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
Kapo, you seem to be in a hurry. Where are you going to?
I'm gonna pay URA visit.
But you can access URA online. Why pay a visit?
To know more about the Kakasa business solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Kapo knows.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
Yellow, how are you? Tell me, how do you do?
We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do.
Send you for today, and this send you for tomorrow. Send you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say, send you, send you, send you, yeah. Send you, send you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles, or other services to get Senchu points. The more you use, the more Senchu points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Senchu.
Well, business news for later, but for now, over 1,000 homesteads in 42 villages of Tororo district are counting their losses following a heavy downpour characterized by strong winds and hailstones. The storm left several houses down, crops destroyed, and hundreds of people reportedly injured. The incident that happened on Monday evening also left the laboratory block roof of Riena High School in Magola sub-county blown off and all equipment and chemicals destroyed.
In over 1,500 homesteads of Magola, Iyolwa, Ojilai and Kayoro sub-counties in Tororo district, following yesterday's heavy downpour that was characterized by strong winds. Away from the loss of property, hundreds of people whose houses were destroyed were equally injured and are now nursing wounds in different health centers across the district.
Almost every home, they lack where to sleep, they lack what to eat, they lack where to go, and even many people, they are already in the hospital admitted.
The affected people are now worried on how they will feed their large families, since most are now left with literally nothing to eat as well as no shelter.
Amatoke, biki, muogo, muemba, teri.
Tetuna wetutula, tetuna chakwebika, tetuna obuliri, byonna byagenze n'enkuba. Tewali kyetunana wadde n'akatono n'akamu.
Akaanza kunyesha, alikuja mingi sana tena na upepo mingi kabisa. Alafu akavunja ndizi, muogo, viazi, kila kitu chote. Manyumba anavunjika. Sasa sisi iko tu hivyo.
Local leaders in the area are calling for government and other well-wishers to intervene.
Included the churches to give a hand. We are in Lent season. This is a time that we need to show our heart to our people who are the dear ones, because this is a Lent season whereby we expect someone to give. Anybody, so long as you have something that you can give, you give a hand. Let us help the life of the innocent. It was not their wish, but it has come as something which is abrupt.
I want the government to put much emphasis to look into the people of this parish, to give them a support, because right now they don't have where to accommodate, where to sleep. And yet these people, they have a big number of people. They now stay under the tree.
Away from the communities, Riena High School in Magola sub-county was equally affected. Here, the roof of the school laboratory was blown off, leaving all lab apparatus and chemicals destroyed. The school administrators are now facing with a challenge of where to accommodate finalists who are to sit for their UNEP practical papers for Uganda Certificate of Education this week.
He has left us in go down. I don't know how to explain it. But in it, we are in a state of Akwamagaya. I don't know where to put.
We have biology 3 lying ahead, and there's also agriculture practical to be done. And we surely need the laboratory. However, we need an immediate or short-term solution, because exams must be done. At the moment, the science team is trying to transfer the little equipment that survived to the classrooms. That is where we shall start from.
And State Minister for Water and Environment has flagged off a walk in commemoration of this year's Water Week, which kicked off on Monday, the 8th of March 2021. This year's Water and Environment Week is being held under the theme Security for Socio-Economic Transformation of Uganda.
This year's celebrations to mark the Water Week will be scientifically commemorated. As part of the celebrations, the Water and Environment Minister Sam Cheptoris, flanked by Minister of State for Environment Beatrice Anywa, have flagged off a team of workers who are going to walk from Luzira to Kasese with the aim of reflecting on how water and environment security can contribute to social economic transformation of Uganda.
This walk.
The walk will start from the Ministry of Water and Environment headquarters here in Luzira, Kampala, to Rima Nyamamba in the Kasese district. The walk will cover approximately 371 kilometers and will take 11 days.
The event, which took place at the ministry's offices in Luzira, was attended by different environmentalists who will see participants trek a distance of 371 kilometers for 11 days.
The issue of the environment and how we are supposed to protect it should take all shapes. People should be passionate. It should be a passion to protect the environment. If it's not driven by passion, we are going to lose the battle.
From Luzira, the team paid a visit to Lubiji wetland in Nansana, Wakiso district.
We have come to participate in this walk to show the communities or the nation the importance of bamboo, what bamboo does in the socio-economic transformation of the country, and what it does in protecting the environment and also protecting water sources.
As we walk, we are going to be having a number of activities along the route, engaging all the district authorities and other CSOs along the road.
According to environmentalists, wetlands have been negatively affected by human activity, where structures such as markets and bus parks have been constructed, thereby posing a threat to the environment.
And problem, you've already seen that nature has been fighting back with the floods in Kampala and all other areas. But this is what I want us to let ourselves understand, that when you degrade the environment, it's not only drying the place, but also health-wise. Increase the cancers, increase other diseases, because the types of things that were supposed to be filtered naturally, you have now to use extra chemicals to clear the water.
And on business news, Kasubi Market is barely 3 months and vendors are calling for Kampala Capital City Authority to deal with vendors still operating at the borders of the road where they were shifted from. As Ivan Kawa reports, many continue to count losses, but the leadership is appreciative of government efforts to having a well-established market for the vendors.
Former Kasubi Market that used to usher thousands of vendors is no more, as government migrated all vendors operating along the roadside to a well-established modern market called Kasubi Market.
It is a good market, well lit. It has no mud. We hope that people will always come, though the distance is far from the previous market.
The road has been widened for road infrastructure development, and the competition for space along the route is no more, since the road is wide enough to accommodate many road users. The market has shelters allocated to specific businesses dealing in commodities such as vegetables, tomatoes, onions, Irish potatoes, charcoal, poultry and ingredients. You will also find here a chain of restaurants. Vendors are optimistic that over time they will be able to make profits from this market.
It helped the vendors come from a place where they would knock them to a market that belongs to them, where it is safe. They are even no longer exposed to the sun, and the rain no longer spoils their products.
We entered this market when we didn't want, because we were not sure that we will make money, given the fact that people are poor.
Goods find their way to the market by use of motorcycles, cargo carriers, with parking for offloading goods just enough. Vendors are, however, worried for the tiny stalls in the market compared to where their previous market was.
The stalls are too thin and we have to squeeze our goodies, but the previous market had enough space to allow free movement.
Unfortunately, there is a group of vendors that hit the roadside to do business illegally, thereby contributing to losses made by those selling similar products in the market.
Work wouldn't have been bad if all vendors got away from the previous roadside market. When it clocks 4 p.m., you can hardly see any customer coming to buy my matoke.
The first days upon entering the market, we were making a lot of money. This market picked up so fast. But from February this year, KCCA started giving licenses to people who offload goods from the previous markets, and this would encourage more people to operate from the roadside.
The market leadership is currently embarking on drafting bylaws that will help crack down those who take products to the roadsides.
We thank the director for KCCA for deploying enforcement teams, but those in Rubaga would alert the street vendors that they are coming, and upon reaching, the road would be cleared. On Saturday and Sunday, there is always a full market on the road.
The market has capacity to handle 1,000 vendors, though there is a surplus of 150 that operates outside the market.
We were relocated to here, but we were inside the market. The hill is huge and customers would find it hard to access our goods. Upon complaining, our demand was respected.
We realized someone can look for charcoal, banana leaves and hotels. So we decided to replace these stalls and encouraged tomato and onion vendors to temporarily operate outside the markets as we wait for further extension of the markets.
Kasubi Market is opposite to 1G private market, and the two are separated by a road, which is also a safety concern to those coming to and from the market to make transactions. The market leadership requests government to construct road humps as soon as possible. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News at Kasubi Market.
And Uganda Revenue Authority has impounded products belonging to BDF Spirits Limited, which manufactures gin and waraji that includes sports gin, Spak waraji and Lebo waraji. BDF was initially making a product called Lebo waraji, but later started making another Spak and sport gin made and distributed at night. The enforcement operation, which was led by DTS enforcement officers, saw over 2,000 cartons of unstamped spirits and gins belonging to BDF impounded.
Uganda Revenue Authority has called upon the public to look out for products that are not stamped, saying that they can cause harmful effects to the consumers. Those that have a digital tax stamp means that they have paid taxes and are genuine.
Yes, we have been getting information that some manufacturers and suppliers are actually stocking or supplying goods that are not stamped. Last year, we gazetted products that are supposed to be having digital tax stamps, as you can see here. Digital tax stamps. We gazetted water, soda, waraji, and beer, and some of these products that are being supplied on market are not stamped. But
Ian Rumanyika, the Acting Assistant Commissioner, Public and Corporate Affairs, cautioned unscrupulous businessmen who have resorted to producing fake tax stamps at Nkuruma Road and Nasi Road in Kampala.
We have verified products that belong to BDF, and some of those products, as you can see, sports gin here and Spark waraji here, they are not stamped as required by the law. And for that reason, of course, we have seen some products on the market that have caused harmful health complications to our customers and taxpayers. And for that reason, we are enforcing and making sure that our suppliers, our taxpayers, get products that are authentic.
He assured non-compliant taxpayers to expect penalties and the destruction of harmful products. The penalty due is determined by the due taxes, which are computed and doubled, or 50 million, whichever is higher.
Now, we are a bit lenient for the last couple of months, but starting July last year, we went on ground. And we've been sensitizing, meanwhile impounding. Several people that were seeming to be okay in the beginning, we are seeing to be losing business, but that's not the way to go. So some of them thought of alternatives. For example, the one we have, BDF, initially was making a product called Ledo. Now Ledo, after coming into compliance levels with us, I think the owners thought that the market was getting out of hand. So they went ahead and started making another product, which are made either at night and distributed at night.
Earlier on this year, Uganda Revenue Authority started a campaign called Kakasa to sensitize both traders and consumers on digital tax stamps and digital tracking solution. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Uganda Export Promotion Board was optimistic of hitting a $5 billion mark in exports in 2020 after posting over $4 billion in 2019. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic-related challenges, only $4.3 billion was collected in 2020. With a steady recovery of the economy, there is optimism of more exports in 2021.
Commodities like fruits and vegetables, fish products and flowers were heavily impacted by the COVID-19 lockdown measures and the disruption of the regional and global transport and logistics sector. COVID-19 pandemic put Uganda between a rock and a hard place. Despite cargo transport across borders being an essential service, restrictive travel measures affected the smooth flow of the goods and services.
Because the projections of the growth of the economy, the GDP, which was over 6%, was first cut by half to go to around 3% growth, but it even went down. So why would you expect that exports would grow? And what made it worse is that when the airlines stopped, then there were not a lot of cargo planes, and the cargo planes were expensive. So many orders were cancelled, but also in our markets they were having a bigger challenge of COVID than even Uganda. In Europe, it was too difficult in other places.
As this saying goes, during tough times, it's only the tougher that keep going. The COVID-19 challenges have fostered innovation at the Exports Promotion Body, and this has been possible through technological adoption.
We are working to have now a more better website, and we have already started on it. We have now put training materials on so people can go on our website and learn how to export themselves. We are going to help kind of create like a virtual shop for Ugandan exports, meaning therefore you go to our website and we have all those products and you can see them. And when you get interested and you click there, we'll link you directly to the exporters or the export associations.
As the country gets back on track, another challenge is emerging: the blockade of Uganda's products from accessing some regional markets. According to stakeholders, the trade impasse is against the spirit of East African integration.
Milk products, meat products, chicken. Farmer's Choice is coming here. Yes. Fresh Cuts is not going there. Brookside has been coming here. They get their milk in here. We are not taking the milk there. Lato milk is not in Kenya. When it's in Kenya, it's beaten out. Okay. And so on and so forth. Tanzania. We struggle to get our sugar into Tanzania. But we are importing rice from Tanzania.
Kenya does not have all the milk it requires to be sustainable. So should they be importing milk from Australia? Should they be importing milk from France? And please remember, most of our milk is from cows that don't have bad cholesterol. You know, at times what brings these trade barriers is misinformation or lack of information, or some people who deliberately lie because they want to be in the competition unfairly.
Exports are important to our country's economy because they not only offer lucrative and more markets for goods, but also earn foreign exchange. Dennis Sigoa and Rowena Kajumba for UBC News.
And women of the Industrial Global Union Organization in Uganda are calling on government to ratify the International Labour Organization Convention 190 that condemns violence and harassment at workplaces. On the 21st of June 2019, the International Labour Organization held a conference in Geneva to launch the first ever standard on violence and harassment at workplaces through Convention 190 and recommendations on 206 standards that are entitled to both women and men.
Many workers in Uganda and world over, especially women, are still facing labor violation and harassment at their workplaces, a thing that has forced women of Industrial Global Union to speak out.
The ILO Convention 190, it was passed 2 years ago in 2019, June, whereby the three tripartite partners came together in Geneva and they discussed and adopted this convention to ensure that we stop the harassment and violence in the world of work.
Many times, these violations go unnoticed, leaving the culprits to walk away with no legal implications. This trend of events has encouraged this negative vice to grow, especially in industries.
Women are not allowed to produce in some of the factories in Uganda, and yet the present labor force were produced by some people. So what do you expect in the future? So some of these things is going to help the rights of the workers.
And if the government ratifies Convention 190, there is always a better working environment for the young people, and there will be improvement actually within the working space of the young people.
However, since 2020, the Ministry of Labour, Gender and Social Development is in the process of ratifying the International Labour Organization Convention 190 that condemns violence and harassment at workplaces.
Carries the responsibility of making sure that its laws are adjusted to be in conformity with the convention. So that's what makes ratification very, very important.
Lack of stringent accountability and lack of violence and harassment reporting avenues have left many workers at the mercy of their abusers. As Uganda waits to ratify the convention, it is prudent that more concerns are given to violence and harassment crime at the workplace by law enforcers.
And finally, in the world of sports, Global Sports Mentoring Program, which is an international leadership development program with roots in Uganda, has engaged women in sports activities to celebrate Women's Day. Hosted at Busitama University, the event gathered more than 100 women taking part in sports and other empowerment agendas.
Women's Day celebrations at Busitama University have attracted more than 100 women that are engaged in various sports activities.
So we thank the American Embassy, we thank the GSMP, the University of Tennessee, we thank Busitama University for making this day possible. We have had 100 women participating in this program. This program is from last year's program where we had empowering women through sports, and we have carried it on this year. It's going to be an annual event.
The sports disciplines, of which netball was pronounced, were punctuated by empowerment agendas that included skilling and mentorship on gender-based issues.
Yes, the women have a lot of challenges. Actually, the women were requesting us to call the men, their brothers, fathers, uncles, into this program because they are the perpetuators of these forms of violence. So in future, we are planning to call upon the men and women, and we carry on with this program. Because for us to promote protection of women, it has to come from the men. We have moved from weed, word, now to God. It is a gender-based thing, so we need to involve both gender.
This particular Women's Day activity was organized on the theme of promoting protection of women and girls from violence, abuse, and exploitation through sports.
Gender issues are real. They are really in higher education institutions. They are really in the community. Things like sexual harassment, things like gender-based violence, these are real. So we believe that if higher education institutions embrace gender in teaching and learning, they embrace gender in research, they embrace gender in community outreach, then these issues will be at a minimal rate because the students will be aware, the staff will be aware, and even the community will be aware.
Though the women's voice was more audible, men were also part of the festivities and offered guidance on how peaceful coexistence, especially at home and work, can be achieved.
Always to be calm to their husbands and always to guide, because they are the mothers of the nation, to guide their men actually to be good people or citizens.
There were lessons in skilling to make shoes and crafts, with participants also hearing from high-profile police officers on key issues affecting their lives and possible solutions.
The project has helped us women economically in that we are able to make purses, bags, necklaces, bangles, and we sell them to the people in the locality and we get some money to support us at home.
Global Sports Mentoring Program, which organized this activity, set root in Uganda a few years ago, but has already empowered several women and youth through sports. John Burns, Sentamu, reporting.
And that does it for News Tonight. Thank you for sticking around. Elizabeth Nakakoni on Sign Language. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Have yourselves a good night.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by...
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Pushing, keep moving there. I want tasers on full charge.